Does everybody know who Offer Now Idaho is? Have you heard of us? By a show of hands, who has heard of Offer Now Idaho? Okay, so most people. Okay, so our specialty is finding off-market deals. We're direct to seller. So we do a bunch of different marketing channels, all to drum up leads. We meet with those sellers, and if it's a fit, then we convert those sellers to off-market contracts. Now, we are also known as a wholesaler, but just because we do wholesaling to end buyers, it's not our only exit strategy, right? So we do flips, we do rentals, we do novation contracts. We're going to talk about all that stuff here, okay? But wholesaling is really just the art of finding the deal, right? So there's going to be a lot of stuff in this presentation that's pertinent to you. There's a lot that's not relatable to you. Just take what you can from this presentation and implement it into your business. I guarantee it'll help you, okay? Because everybody here, we got into real estate, we got into sales to make more money, to have a better future for ourselves. So that's what the name of the game is. That's what we're all after, all right? Okay, so this is me, my wife, Julia, and our 2-year-old, Charlotte. I'm the CEO of Offer Now Idaho. We have now done, 2024 marked our 400th off-market deal in the state of Idaho. Okay, we've been in business for 5 years. We've got a team of 17 and growing, some of which are here, some of which are virtual. And we service Southern Idaho. We also go across the border into Ontario. So again, we find off-market deals. We also have a Real Freedom coaching community for people that want to do this on their own and get to financial freedom. Our mission as a company is to help 1 million people in 10 years. That's right, 1 million people in 10 years. And I'll explain why that's our guiding compass, and that's why it's so key and crucial to everything that we do and how it gives us success. My background's in mechanical engineering. That didn't really work for me, so I got into real estate investing in 2018, started investing in Idaho. So, COVID was fun, right? Everything went up, everything sold, multiple offers over asking, record low interest rates. Now we're in a period, the last 2.5 years, with record low listings, price decline, and we all feel like this guy here. It's been rough the last 2 years. No way to sugarcoat that. Whether you're a realtor, investor, the whole 9 yards. Everybody's getting squeezed everywhere. But the time is now, okay? 4 of our 5 listings last week went under contract within 72 hours, and some of them had multiple offers. 2 of those listings, we couldn't sell this fall, so we actually delisted for 30 days so they could show up new on the MLS. This is crazy, right? Why would that happen? Well, this has everything to do with the market fundamentals right now and it being an election year, right? People buy and sell on emotion and justify with logic. It doesn't make sense to us. But we have to understand that when we really think about the avatar of a seller, of people that we can add value to, people we can get under contract with. So we have seasonal low inventory right now in Q4. That's what you see here, okay? Matched with a seasonal low in price declines. This is that time delay that we always talk about in our business with the market, of where sellers, they're not on the pulse of what happens day to day, okay? We are, because we're in the industry, we're in the space. But people are going to look at comps for 3 or 4 months ago. They're going to talk about, what did my neighbor's property sell for? That's going to be their lens at which they make decisions. So why does that happen? That's how people end up in a situation where, hey, school's back in session, we start to see days on market increase, we start to see all the things we don't want as real estate investors, we start to see price decline, okay? It's because they're using comps from April, March, February, May, when the market is at its peak, and they're using that to judge their decision making for what they list their property for in August, September, October. It doesn't work. So people then can't sell their properties. On the flip side, we're in that window of time now where now they're using November, October, September comps, but the market's actually red hot. It's red hot right now. It's red hot right now. But they're using that as from their basis of which they're making decisions. So this is the golden window here, the next 3 or 4 months, where you can really, really capitalize on this. And I want to make this the starting point of there's no excuse to not take action right now. So the gives today, we're going to get vulnerable. We're going to share everything about our business that you'd want to know about finding deals. We're going to save Q&A. Most importantly, drinks are on the house. We've got an Offer Now tab. So I think there's a limit on it, but drinks are on the house. So enjoy that. If you get value today, my only ask is that you tag me at Real Ryan Weimar on Instagram. Share with others so they can make 25 their best year ever. And again, we're on this mission. So who do you know that would want to be a part of that? We're hiring a lot of salespeople right now. We have more leads than we have salespeople to close deals. We have more leads than we know what to do with. And I'm going to show you here in a second. Brand. This is not an overnight thing. This is something that's taken us 5 years to where finally now we're actually getting feedback from our sellers of, I looked you up on Google and I know that you're the right fit for me because I can trust you. We have social proof. This is not something that happens overnight. This is playing the long game, but it's very, very powerful. This is free marketing. So I'm not going to read all these, but I'm going to read this one in the bottom left here out loud because I think it really emphasizes where a lot of our success comes from and the mindset that it takes. If it wasn't for these men, our letter writes, if it wasn't for these men, I would have never known my house was on an auction site. She didn't even know she was being foreclosed on. This happens. I know it's shocking. This happens. I was able to get things straightened out and I was able to save my home. They were a godsend and are very much appreciated by me. I don't know where I would be. I don't know where I would be if not for them notifying me. We made $0 on this deal. We helped someone stay in their house and keep their house. That's what it's all about. That's the secret to doing a lot of deals and a lot of business, leading with value, going into a seller's house, not actually putting the contract first. How do I get this for the dollar that I need? No, it's how do I help this person? When you go in with that mindset, I promise you, you will get more deals as a result. But a lot of people that do it wrong, they think they have to play this volume game where they send out 100 lowball cash offers and hope one people accepts. You're not actually adding any value to your sellers. So here was our 2024 wins. We actually track number of people helped per month in our business. It's at the top of our dashboard in our Salesforce to emphasize this point. It's not about the money. It's not about getting the deepest deal possible. Those are great, but they come secondary to people help. So we helped almost 2,300 people this past year. We signed 126 off-market contracts, so just over 10 a month. We scheduled almost 780 seller appointments. We added 4 people to our sales team. We added Tori, our operations manager. Michael, I don't know if he's here yet, but he signed 8 off-market contracts in his first 70 days with us. In his first 2.5 months, he signed 8 off-market contracts. And then we closed our biggest deal in company history. So those are some of our highlights for 2024. Our vision is to become a $10 million a year company, top line revenue. Okay, this isn't profit. I'm not going to inflate that. This is top line revenue. What would it take to become a $10 million a year company? Well, we would need 5 acquisition managers and 5 lead managers that want to make big money. And they want to make sacrifices in the near term to be able to do that and set themselves up for the future. So again, my question is, who do you guys know that can help get us there? We grew 72% in a recession from 2023 to 2024. And honestly, we had a lot of staff turnover in there as well, which was hard. But we grew 72% in a year. These are our targets for the years to come, but we will achieve this $10 million a year target by the end of 2027. The meat and potatoes about what can help you guys. But this was our biggest deal in company history. We made almost $400,000 and got another $500,000 at 0% interest in our bank account. This is not something that anybody would be capable of doing without putting in a lot of sweat equity and a lot of hard work and taking a lot of licks along the way. So it'd be easy for me to stand up here and say, oh, this is the sexy thing, anybody can do this, but the reality is I wasn't capable of doing something like this years ago. So it just takes a lot of repetition to be able to do complicated, complex deals like this. It was a subject to with a seller finance, 6 new build townhomes, and came from a cold calling lead. 1 phone call. Would that change everybody's life? Absolutely. All right. Deal killers. I hear what you're saying. Non-belief. Just like Ron Burgundy, right? Why in the world would somebody sell a property at a discount? Why? Doesn't make sense. I wouldn't, you wouldn't? Right. It's easy. But why does CarMax exist? Yeah. Yeah, they make it easy, right? I can list my car on Craigslist. I can shop the various websites. I can go on Kelley Blue Book, whatever. I can advertise that, or I can go to CarMax. I can take a few grand less, and it's an easy and smooth process, and boom, I get my check and I'm on my way. It's the same exact thing applies with properties. We just have more emotion, more belongings, more drama, more problems to solve. So I think this is a really helpful frame for ways to be successful doing deals, to first touch on 11 ways to be unsuccessful doing deals. What would somebody that is guaranteed to be unsuccessful do? And then using the opposite to be successful. Well, number one, they would not be consistently generating leads. And I could just end the presentation here because this applies to like 99% of people. You have no consistent lead flow, so you always feel like you're chasing, you always feel like you're convincing. There's not an abundance of leads that you have. So it starts with an abundance of leads. And we'll talk about the different marketing channels that we have. Cash is your only offering. Right now we have 4 different offerings, none of which are a traditional listing, okay? So I'm going to talk about those later, but if you're doing cash right now only, you're losing. Not following up on your leads. This is a basic one, but a lot of people think that they're doing an adequate amount of follow-up, and they're not. They don't have the level of tenacity that's actually required to get follow-up contracts. You pay for the leads up front, and then you don't follow up in the end. You're just throwing money down the drain. You wouldn't set any expectations with your leads. So you wouldn't ask them things like, hey, why wouldn't you just list it with a realtor? Is there anything preventing you from meeting at noon tomorrow? Are you the only decision maker, or is there anybody else that needs to be involved here that we need to include in this conversation? You wouldn't set any expectations. You just go out and hope that something happens magically. You'd switch strategies every week or month chasing the hot thing. Ooh, I love this one. Everybody thinks that there's a magic marketing channel or some golden switch that they're going to flip and all of a sudden they're going to get a bunch of deals. It doesn't work like that. It works the opposite. It's about doing the boring thing over and over and over, becoming a master at it. And then you reap the rewards. Then you get paid the dividends from that. Oh boy. This is a mental one. Allowing opinions of others to dictate your behavior. So an example in our business, when a lead comes in, we triple tap and text every single lead. What's a triple tap? We call them, they don't answer, we hang up. We literally redial, call them again. If they don't answer, hang up. And then we redial them a third time, okay? And we send a text. If you're afraid of what other people think or afraid of a reaction that you're gonna get on the other side of that phone, you're already losing. Your family, your friends, your inner circle, this thing of sales and entrepreneurship, you're not going to make it far if you let the opinions of other people, if you care what other people think too much. Very, very important. You're dishonest with yourself about what you really want. Or maybe you don't know, which could be, right? It's very easy to say you're committed. It's very hard to be committed. Very easy to say you're committed, very hard to be committed. The being takes action. Having delusional expectations with outcomes. If I do this for a couple weeks, if I call on 10 sellers a day for a couple months, I should get a deal. Why are you putting that time limit on yourself? The people that are successful do this for an infinite amount of time until they're successful. That's the truth. And if you're a driver, you always want to see that progression. You want to get those dopamine hits, that affirmation that I get a deal, I get an appointment. Yes, this is working, these mini wins, right? And a lot of times it doesn't work like that. So stop putting a time duration on yourself for success. Success doesn't work like that. It doesn't. This is one of my favorite ones. If you didn't want to be successful, you would avoid all hard conversations with your spouse, partner, family about the sacrifice it's going to take to achieve the future you want. You would want to completely avoid confrontation. You wouldn't want to talk to your wife or your husband about, hey, I'm going to have to work late. I'm going to have to work nights and weekends to set us up for the future. I have to have family time. These are hard things, right? Trust me, these are hard things. I've had a lot of these conversations with my wife. They don't always end well, right? But they have to be had if we want to get on the same page, if we want to understand each other and we want to find that common ground to work together so we can support each other. It's not, can we avoid this conversation so I can do my thing, you can do your thing, and then hopefully our lines will intersect at some point in the future. That's not a healthy marriage. Get the issues open and honest up front. Trust me, it'll help. You wouldn't track any data or keep yourself accountable. Again, how do you make decisions if you're not tracking how many people am I talking to on a daily basis? How many leads am I generating on a daily basis? How many offers am I making? Things like that. Because you're afraid that if you start tracking it and you miss a day, that's a failure. And then you get really down on yourself. Stop doing that. Just track it. It's okay. Start one day at a time. And you'd have poor financial habits and no budget. So you'd always spend up to your means. You'd always spend every paycheck and live paycheck to paycheck. You'd have nothing in reserves to be able to take on lead generation or to be able to do this and start something like this and embark on this. Or you'd leave yourself without the adequate time, so then you go back to setting the wrong expectations with yourself. This one. Being dishonest with yourself about what you really want because you only gave yourself 2 weeks to get a deal because of your poor financial habits. You have no savings. That's setting yourself up for failure. All right, enough of the negative. The number one way to guarantee that you're not successful is inconsistency. So you must first become consistent before you can become exceptional. This is it. It always takes longer. It always costs more. It's always harder than you expect it to be. Always. But again, it's the expectations that's your problem, not the plan. Everything we're talking about today, it's not rocket science. It's very simple. But most people blame the thing. They start something. They have. Who's familiar with this graph? Anybody seen this before? This is the chart of growth. This is what growth feels like. This is what growth looks like. So first, you're in the honeymoon phase. It's new and it's exciting. You've joined a new company. You've started a new thing. You know, you've entered into a new realm. Great, I feel so empowered. Oh shit, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. There's a lot more rejection. I got to go through a lot more no's to get a yes. And then there's this crisis of meaning. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I chose the wrong thing. Maybe Airbnb arbitrage is better. Maybe flipping is better, right? Maybe creative finance is better, whatever it is. And most people crash and burn, and they do this cycle over and over and over again, and they never actually push through the hard period where they get to the informed optimism, where they know the challenges, but instead of feeling defeated, they're empowered. So if you're going through any form of this right now, which if you're in this room, you probably are, because you have a growth mindset and you want to achieve big things, this is normal. Expect it. Embrace it. When you do that, I think that's a lot more empowering than feeling like, what am I doing wrong? And asking yourself those kind of questions all the time. So here's where we ended up in 2024 with our yearly contract targets. So Q1, we signed a lot of contracts. We met targets. Q2, okay, not so great. Q3, not so great. Q4, not so great. But on the whole, we ended up 2024 at 127 when last year we did 87. So we had massive, massive year-over-year growth. This is a great chart for understanding this emotional avatar of a buyer and seller like we talked about, okay? In the off-market space, seasonality of when to get the most amount of off-market deals is December, January, February. It's not April, May, June, right? It goes completely counterintuitive to on market. Why? Yeah. Yeah. End of the year is tough. Also, a lot of the leads that come in, nobody wants to sell in the middle of winter. Are you kidding me? That's awful. Or in between the holidays. Only people that have to sell do so during this period. So you get your most motivated leads in this window. Also, you get a lot of people that listed in August or September, or maybe they tried for sale by owner, or maybe they started talking to investors because, again, they were using May and April comps. Well, what's changed? The market's gone down since then. Sorry. Now there's a huge delta in what the market can pay and what people's expectations are. Month after month, they fight this, fight this, fight this. The holidays come around. Aunt Judy comes to Thanksgiving and asks you, why are you still holding on to that property, Ryan? Right? The pain gets real. Pain gets real. So this happens every year. Every year we get a huge seasonal boost in these 3 months. So a lot of times I show this to people and it kind of breaks their brain because I wouldn't have thought this at all. I would have thought it followed the same flow as the retail market. Our average deal size. So this is 27,200, our average deal size, which grew a little bit from 2023. Some of this is the market. Some of this is just us getting a little bit better at the little things and negotiating. So again, that's creative finance, that's wholesale, that's novations, encapsulated in that. Q2 is always going to be your biggest deal sizes. Why? Because buyers pay the most in that time period. So going back to this chart, this is a huge tip. This is a really, really, really good time of year to lock up properties on 30, 60, 90, even longer closes. They love it because it gives them flexibility and time to pack up all their stuff and find their next thing. And what have you done? You've just locked it in to where you can sell it or move that property at the best time of the year when everybody's paying top dollar. So that's a strategy you can implement today. Cash only, you won't survive because you're not actually adding any value to the seller, right? You're just a number, and another investor that offers cash, it just becomes a numbers game. So we offer cash, we offer terms like creative finance, seller finance subject to, we have novations, and we have a new thing we're doing this year called installment contracts, which is a little more advanced. But when we go into a home, this is part of the secret formula, right? We are going into the home offering other solutions for people. You want a higher price? No problem. Let's see how we can make that work. You need a fast close? No problem. Cash is probably for you. You want top dollar? Well, maybe a novation works. This is how you stand out from everybody else that's meeting with the sellers at their houses, okay? You have more than one option. For beginners, I would not recommend trying 4 things at once. You'll do none of them well. Pick 1 or 2, okay? Pick 2. Pick 2. You'll have a lot more success with a backup option than trying to go 4 at once. Ask me how I know. It's not a fun process to learn all those. This says everything about the opportunity that we have in front of us. And it's not a fun chart for me to look at. We only contacted 67% of our leads that came into our system this quarter. That means a third of our leads that came in, we didn't even talk to. We didn't even call. What does that mean about the level of opportunity that we have even after 73% growth, right? Again, lead generation problem. When you're generating a crap load of leads, you can't help but be successful. That's the formula. That's the formula. So how this pertains to like actual data, for us, I know these bar charts are a little small, but it takes 63 inbound leads for us this year. It's not very good. 63 inbound leads to get a signed contract. An inbound lead is somebody that's contacting us. So this can be Google pay-per-click, this can be a TV ad, this can be a billboard, this can be a paper lead, calling on a mail piece, right? Anybody that's contacting you, it takes us 63 of those to equal 1 contract. That's a lot. Takes us 11. It takes us 11 appointments attended to get a contract, and 9 leads per appointment set. And then 6 of these appointments to get a contract. So that means we're striking out 5 out of 6 times. Think about that. 80% of the time, over 80% of the time, we're missing out. But again, that's a value service-based mindset. If I'm meeting with a couple sellers and I think that I'm going to get the deal or I'm going to get the contract, I'm mistaken. I have to lead with value. The reality is most people should list their property with a realtor on the market. They should list it for sale by owner. Top dollar that should be what they're doing. And that's what most people do. So that's why it still takes us 6 of these, even when somebody is contacting us saying, Ryan, I have a property to sell. I have a situation. I need some help. Still, 1 out of 6 we're getting. Outbound leads. So this is cold calling, texting, ringless voicemail, some of your other marketing channels to generate leads. It takes us 201 of these to get a contract. A lot more, right? Why? Because we're reaching out to them. This is cold outreach. These people are not contacting us. 22 of those per appointment set, 29 per appointment attended, and then 7 appointments to a contract. So a little bit more. Why? Because they're less qualified, right? We're reaching out to them to ask if they want to sell a property. They're not reaching out to us. So let's play a little bit of a game here. Let's play a game. My market is saturated. I hear this all the time. There's no more deals. There's no more deals. Corey, can you come up here for a second? I need your calculator handy. Okay. Or maybe just your mind. It's calculator, definitely. So come over here in the light, please. Show your bright and shiny face. Okay. Sorry. Hi, everybody. Sorry. Get out of the way. Yeah. So Corey, how many contacted leads are in our database? So these are people we've actually talked to that are just sitting in our CRM, in our database from over the years.
Yeah, we have over 5,600 people in there. Sorry, we have over 5,600 people in our database that we've had some form of a communication with it over the last 5 years.
So over 5,000 leads in our database of people we've talked to.
And this isn't just skip trace records. Like we have 200,000 of those. These are actually people who raised their hand. We've had some conversation. We've qualified to some extent.
But they're not under contract.
They're not under contract.
They're just sitting in our database.
Yep.
They're just waiting to be met with, waiting to be contacted, waiting to be signed. How many uncontacted leads are in our database?
Yeah, this one was hard to look at. These are people who at one point we'd originally had a text or a cold call with. We have over 1,370 of those right now sitting in there that we just haven't got back in contact with after they reached out and said, yeah, I'll consider selling my property.
Say that number again.
1,376.
So we have 1,300 leads in our database.
Yeah.
Of people that we have not even contacted.
Of people who at one point again raised their hand to a text message or cold call that we have never got back in touch with again.
Well, it could also be inbound too, right?
Or inbound, yeah.
Yeah. People that reach out to us. Okay. If we never got another lead, so I'm going to ask you to get out your calculator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How many contracts are in the database based on these numbers here, right? So we know that it takes, let's just use the outbound total. It takes 200 of these leads to equal a contract. How many contracts are in our database right now?
Yeah, we've got 28 contracts sitting in our database that we've literally just been waiting around to go get. Yeah, it's 28 contracts we're just waiting around to go get.
Okay. And about how many uncontacted leads do we have contracts?
At OfferNow Idaho, we're looking to hire A players to run our organization and help us grow our business.
Absolutely. And it's not going to be easy, but what in life is? You can choose your hard, you can choose to be poor, you can choose to be rich. They're both hard. Would you rather work for a company that has your best interests in mind and wants to push you to be the best version of yourself? Where you actually can give back to the community and have a tangible impact in people's lives? You know, our motto is providing freedom to our team members, our community, and ourselves through real estate.
The whole reason OfferNow Idaho was created, I was a mechanical engineer, and I was just a cog in the wheel. At the end of the day, I was just a number. I got laid off once. I got passed up for a promotion multiple times, even though I was already doing half of the role plus my own. I wanted to be able to control my own destiny and impact others around me without having the handcuffs of a corporation and deal with corporate politics. Getting passed up for that promotion, already doing the work, I remember just feeling am I really going to do this for the next 30 years of my life? I need to start taking control now. I need to go start something. I need to go build something that will attract other like-minded people that are seeking that. The ability to work remote, right? That want to be able to have an unlimited ceiling on what they can earn. And the results that they get have a direct impact on what they get compensated. You can't get that in a corporate job. Right now, we have a $3,000 referral program. If you know somebody that's looking for a new role, we will pay you $3,000 once that person is hired by us and they hit their 90-day mark. So if you know of anybody that's looking for a new job or looking to change their life, shoot me a DM at RealRyanWeimer on Instagram.
Let's get it.
There's 9. Yeah, 9 of those that we just haven't gotten in contact with that are just waiting for us to go convert.
So add those up. We've got 36 contracts in our database if we never generated another lead. So again, this is why if you're saying your market's too saturated, you're sadly mistaken. Again, this is a lead generation problem you have. We don't have a lead generation problem. We have a sales problem,
Yeah,
right?
We have an execution problem.
We have an execution problem.
Yeah.
So we need more people. We need to train them up, right?
Yeah.
We have a staffing issue. That's why we're wanting to get people to join our team, right? Because there's so much opportunity here. It hurts to have this much opportunity just sitting there for the taking and not be able to capitalize on it. So again, how we define the art of finding off-market deals, 3 pillars: lead generation, conversion, and disposition. So lead generation, how do I find somebody that might be interested in selling? Conversion, once I have that lead, how do I get it under contract? And disposition, once I get it under contract, what do I do with it? What's highest and best use? For this, it's really just keep it simple, stupid, right? So this is all a giant funnel. So let's really just dumb this down. You get a certain number of leads at the top of funnel. You contact those leads, or you don't, and they just sit there. You talk to them, you schedule an appointment, you make an offer, and a certain amount of those sign a contract. That's how you get deals. So again, if your top of funnel is too small, which is a majority of people's problem, you just need help on lead generation. That's it. Start there. So I'll ask each of you just this probing question. What is it costing you to not commit? Right? Again, it's easy to say you're committed. It's hard to be committed. It's hard to be committed, but it's costing you a lot. So you'll have to define for yourself what's actually costing you to not have leads generated, to not follow up with people, to not have difficult conversations with your family and spouse about what it's going to take to be successful and have the future you want and bridge that gap, right? Or not have an abundance mindset where maybe you're trying to take advantage of people and you're not doing this the right way, which will never work out for you in the long run. There's a reason that we're so successful here and we're building something great. And again, it comes back to helping the homeowner. We're not convincers. We are deal finders. If you find yourself ever in a conversation where you're convincing, move on to the next lead. That's not a motivated seller. That's not somebody that we can help. The only reason somebody should sell a property or would sell a property at a discount is if they have a problem that we can solve. So we have to find people with problems so that we can help them solve them. Sweet. So that's all I got, guys. Let's open it up for Q&A now so we can help you. Yeah.
Can you talk more about your installment strategy?
Yeah. So the question is installments. I'll give the 3,000-foot view here. So an installment contract for us is a way to actually go on title without having to pay a full cash price, okay, or fully cash them out. So it's kind of like a short-term seller finance situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's like, is it kind of like contract deed or?
Similar, yeah. Yep. But it's a way for us to say, okay, you need money up front. A lot of people, they don't have any money for moving costs or to clean up the property or for junk removal or whatever the case is, or to get into their next property, right? So for us, an installment is a way to actually give them the money up front in a primary close where they can walk with a few $1,000 in their pocket, but then we're on title. So we can do whatever we want with the property. We're not hoping and wishing, oh boy, I hope they follow through or else I might be out $5,000, right? So it's an actual safe way that you're secured against the property beyond just like a deed in second or a promissory note in second or third position. you actually can sell it, you can refi it, you can do whatever you want with it. Yeah.
I was going to ask how you compare that to and I think you're in that last state. Yeah, you talk about the differences in
Novation.
You want to answer this one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a novation is the term for a replacement contract. So essentially, you're in this instance, you're going to lock in a specific price with the seller. Let's say you agree to $300,000. It gives you the ability to then market it on the MLS, basically on their behalf, and then you could remarket it at a higher purchase price, and you just make the spread in between what it sells for and what you got it under contract for. So that's basically what it is. So in most of these instances, we're not putting money out. Maybe we'll do very, very light clean out if need be, or a little bit of work. Sometimes our pitch is that, if there needs to be a replacement of a roof or something else, a lot of the people we work with don't have the funds to do that. So if they were going to sell it on market, they'd either have to reduce the price even further or might have to come out of pocket, and they may not have the funds to do that. So we can cover that cost of whatever the end buyer is going to need.
Yeah. So to try to not overcomplicate it, when a cash number doesn't work for somebody, cash is when we're in a seller's home and we're offering speed and convenience and certainty, right? That's your guarantee. We're going to buy this property for this price. It's always also the lowest price. If they come back to us and say, I need this amount to pay off credit card debt, I need this to do whatever, we come back with our equity protection program, which is a novation, okay? And that allows us to pay a higher price because we're not buying it. We're listing it on the MLS, so an owner-occupant will buy it. An owner-occupant will always pay more than an investor will. If we get it on a cash number and we're the investor and we're buying it as a flip or we wholesale it, we have to build in a margin there for the investor so that they can make money, right? With a novation, you don't have to do that because you're selling to an owner-occupant. Yeah.
What kind of KPIs do you guys for people coming into the business? You guys expect for, let's say, like a lead manager, as far as like dials, talk time, appointment set, and then also for acquisition?
Yeah, absolutely. So when somebody comes in, they're after like a ramp up period, they're basically going to be looking to get, if they're a lead manager, they basically are the people who are calling on our leads, trying to schedule appointments. They're looking at, for us, 2 appointments set a day, or it's 100 minutes of talk time, or it's, why am I blanking on the last one?
Contacts, two-way conversations.
Oh, yeah, 30 two-way conversations.
20.
I guess it is 20. I'm sorry. I should know these. I look at them every morning. Okay.
You literally look at them
I know. I was thinking about something else, but that's on the lead management side. But really what we're looking for is the leading metrics. Great. If you hit your 2 appointments scheduled, you crushed it for today. Otherwise, keep going until you hit your, the actual activity metrics. On the acquisition side, again, after a ramp up period, most of our reps, like I saw Michael come in a little bit ago and Braden, they're going on 2 appointments a day typically. And if not, then they're trying to schedule their own appointments. So for them, it's usually like 2 appointments. They usually hit somewhere between like 5 and 10 contacts and about 30 to 60 minutes of talk time in that period.
Quick follow-up question to that. So have you guys always visited the home, or did you spend a amount of time just doing virtual and then kind of pivot to go into people's house?
Yeah.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, go for it.
So we do both. So our rule of thumb is if it's within like an hour drive time, we'll go in person, but we do just as many virtual appointments as we do in person. The difference is you'll close in-person appointments at like a 60% higher clip than you will virtual, because it's a lot harder to not tell the truth when you're in person than it is over the phone or over a virtual, and really develop that trust and that relationship with people, right? Because the avatar of the people that we're meeting with, it's usually a lot of older people, not always, right? But there's inherent trust that needs to be built, and a lot of people want to do business the old-fashioned way and know who they're working with. And in an age where people are getting text blasted, robocalled, scammed left and right, a lot of people want to meet you face to face. So that's always going to be your advantage. Yeah. Yeah.
You said that you're generating more leads than you actually service. So what are the tools that you're using successfully to generate leads?
Yeah. So right now for inbound channels, we're doing pay-per-click and pay-per-lead. I'll be honest with you, pay-per-click has been a loser for us because it's very expensive. And if you're not answering that phone within 3 minutes, your chances of getting that seller appointment drop by 50%. So literally, like, you have to have your pager on you at all times. No matter what you're doing, you got to pick up that phone because every lead is like $400 or $500. So this is it's a really hard thing for beginners to start with because it's just a money pit. So for us, even now, a lot of it has to do with seasonality, but it's been a loser for us the last like 6 months. Pay per lead, on the other hand, has been pretty good. So there's people that do nationwide advertising, and then depending on somebody that reaches out to them, responds to it, they match the county with whatever operator like us is in that county, and then they sell us that lead individually. So that's for inbound. We stopped doing TV for a little while. We stopped doing direct mail for a little while. And we don't do radio or billboards yet, but it's probably something we'll do. On the outbound side, we do a high volume of texting, and we also do a little bit of cold calling. We've brought cold calling down significantly because in about the second half of 2023, we started seeing declining numbers for that. So, yeah. Texting is working best for us right now, no doubt.
For texting,
Yeah.
how, what contact, which kind of a list do you go for texting?
Yeah. So question is what lists do we text? So how many texts do we send out a day now?
Somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000.
So we send out about 4,000 texts a day, right? And that generates anywhere from like 10 to 12 leads a day for us. Okay. So
10 to 15.
the short answer is any list that we can get our hands on, we'll text. Because we go through 4,000 texts a day. I mean, we need a lot of data, right? If you're just starting out, it's going to be your motivated seller lists, tax delinquent, pre-foreclosures, vacant properties, lien lists, those kind of things are going to be the best bang for your buck if you're doing it at a much smaller scale or just starting out.
Where do you buy these lists from?
You don't need to buy them. There's a site called PropWire, 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 that you can get a lot of these lists from. Also, like the tax delinquent list is at your county for free. There's a lot of lists at your county that you can get your hands on. A lot of times they come in like janky PDF formats that you have to undo to get them in an Excel so you can get their phone numbers. But yeah.
So you would say PPL is your most ads. That's where your most ad spend is going.
Pay per click right now is our most ad spend, but it's also our worst performer at the moment. But the thing that we measure in our business, of course, we measure return on ad spend per marketing channel, but that's not the end all be all. We look at lead to appointment. Because what is a marketing channel supposed to do? It's supposed to generate a qualified lead for you. A qualified lead, if I'm scheduling a high volume of appointments with people, it means I'm getting the right kind of leads. Now, if we're not closing the leads, there has to be something going on. Specifically with pay-per-click, the reason it's been a low performer for us is because we're getting a lot of leads of people that are underwater and have really high interest rates. So that's been a weird thing in like the last 4 or 5 months, now that it's been like 2.5 years of this higher interest rate thing. Before, all those had 2 or 3% interest rates, right? And you could just sub to them and it was great. But now we're getting people that are not only underwater, but they have higher interest rates. So their only path is a short sale, or they're going to get foreclosed on. So that when we look at that, is the marketing channel delivering us a motivated seller? Absolutely it is. That's why we're not going to cut it, because eventually we'll get the right leads in.
So how long do you test one marketing channel to make a decision if that's the right one?
Yeah, question is how long do you stick with a marketing channel or keep one before you decide to move on? 6 months. 6 months is what I always say. Ideally a year. And I see this time and time again. People will try a marketing channel for a month and say it doesn't work, and then scrap it and start over with another one. And it's the exact wrong way to do things. So you really have to give it, especially in your inbound channels, like Google pay-per-click. It actually takes Google a while to figure out what kind of avatar clicks and converts on your website, right? So you have to give it time to be able to do that to deliver quality. So if you're going to take on inbound marketing channels, budget aside at least 6 months to be able to do it. You can start slow. You don't have to have a huge budget. But yeah, that would be my advice. Yeah.
What happens to a contract if you can't find an buyer for it?
Ooh, Corey's the perfect person to answer this one. So the question is, what happens to a contract if we can't find an end buyer, or something comes up in the inspection that we didn't know about, or there's a foundation issue, whatever?
Yeah. Really hard, honest conversations. So let's say, for an example, we went and we had a conversation with somebody and we locked it up at about 300. We thought we could remarket it. We thought we could resell it, or it'd make sense for us to take down for cash. We go in, we find out that actually there's a lot of mold in the attic. And we typically get inspections on most of the properties that we put under contract. And so we'll go in, we'll find that out. And if that's the case and we just realize we can't make it work, or maybe there's a foundation issue, we're just going to have that honest conversation back with the seller and say, look, here's what we found. What do you want to do? Here's what we need to make this work on our end. We have actually, when we're having transparent conversations like that, most of the time, and we're like probably 60, 70% being able to get some kind of price reduction. But in certain instances, we can. And so again, it's just we call it fall on the sword. Just be honest and tell people that, like, we made a mistake. What can we do to try to make this right and help you out?
So we know wholesalers get a bad rap, right? We actually know wholesalers at a high level that we talked to somebody in our mastermind last year. Their strategy is they have an 80% conversion rate. So that means 8 out of 10 appointments, they're getting contracts. Why? Because they just sign yes on whatever price the seller wants and then renegotiate it later. That is a wrong way to do business. You're going to get a lot of negative Google reviews and BBB complaints doing stuff like that, right? So this is all about being ethical and again, leading with value. What do you want to do? People are afraid to ask sellers, have you talked to a realtor when they go into the home? Just be honest and transparent. We as investors have to be able to make a profit, right? If that doesn't work for you, then you should list it for sale by owner or list it with a realtor, and I can refer you that option. That is so disarming and so powerful when you say that, and you say that confidently. So that's a bit of the secret sauce in doing things ethically, which again, if we have to have a hard conversation or a renegotiation with the seller, it sets us up for success because we've been honest from day one. And then it's their choice, right? They can say, no, I'm going to cancel and I'm going to list it or whatever, which happens too. Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Do people that work for you end up buying properties themselves at any time?
Yeah, so the question is, do any of our employees buy our properties? We actually have an employee discounted home buyer program. So every X amount of revenue that a salesperson generates or deals they close, we call it a Weimer coin. And they get to cash that Weimer coin in to buy one of our discounted properties at a discount. So it's our way it's kind of like our employee stock purchase program, but in the form of properties. So yeah, because we want to incentivize the power of real estate and building wealth, we don't want people to have to feel like they need to leave our company to do that. We want to be able to provide that opportunity inside of our business. Yes. Yep.
So how much is your conversion rate from contract to closing?
Do you know that number offhand?
Yeah, we were at 68%.
Yeah. So 68%, so 2 out of 3, which is actually pretty low. During COVID, I think we were about 92%, right? Because everything you signed was going way up and everything was a deal. 68% is a little low for us. Our target is about 72 to 75% for that. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff especially with virtual, when you're locking up contracts virtually and it's a rural property, you have to go off of what the seller is describing to you for condition, and you can't always know. So again, are you doing this ethically? Are you doing this unethically? As long as you have good intentions, that'll shine through. Yeah.
How are you acquiring phone numbers for cold calling?
Great question. So how are we getting phone numbers for sellers? It's called skip tracing. So you can use skip tracing services, and they scour the website for people's phone numbers and people's data, and they sell it to you. It's totally legal. They get all their sources from public records. Yep. So if you ever wonder how all those robocallers, or you fill out a loan application and you get like 10 creditors that call you after, that's why.
You're only marketing in Idaho, is that correct?
Yes. Right now we're only in Idaho, again, because a third of our leads in our database still haven't even been contacted. So for us, the only reason to go to a different market would probably be to something more cash flow friendly, where we could diversify more of our assets that are coming in. But in terms of opportunity, there's so much missed opportunity and potential just here in Idaho that we have no reason to expand before we really dial this in. Yeah.
So you guys say that you So I'm guessing that the leads that you're talking about that have been uncontacted are ones that have been not called, but they have been texted, correct?
Yeah, so key distinction. So when we're marketing and we're doing 4,000 texts a day, this is cold outreach. So of those 4,000 a day, we usually get 10 to 12 leads. Those leads get passed into our CRM. Those are the ones that have not been contacted. So these people have already positively responded to some kind of text message or cold call, like, sure, I'm interested in selling. So we have a verified homeowner. We know it's their number. We know they own the property, and we know they have some interest in selling. That for us is our definition of a lead. That lives in our CRM. So no, it's actually not the cold people. It's actually people that have responded something positive to one of our marketing campaigns. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you use for texting?
We use Smarter Contact right now. We've used 3 or 4 different services over the years. Some of them get too big that the carriers like Verizon and T-Mobile completely shut them down or make them have to include opt-out language or stuff to remain TCPA compliant, right, to be legal. So Smarter Contact is TCPA compliant, as is Launch Control. So either of those would be my go-tos if you want to start that. The sweet thing about texting is you get scale. You can send out, a couple hundred messages in like 30 seconds, right? So how many phone calls would that take? How long would it take you to cold call that many people? And it's also cheap. So it's Launch Control. Yep. Yep. Smarter Contact. Yep. Yeah.
Do you filter out numbers that are on the do not call list?
Yeah, of course. And actually, those providers, they do it as well, because they don't want to if they get reported or people angry, then they're going to get shut down. So, yeah.
Do you guys JV with any investors, flippers?
All the time. Yeah. Yeah, we have the biggest buyers list in the state because we've been doing this for a while. So we usually have anywhere from 3 to 4 wholesalers that need help selling their deals that come to us on a regular basis that we work with.
Strictly on them, kind of leveraging you guys to sell their deals.
Yeah. It's not always post contract. Sometimes we'll go on appointments with them, show them our sales process, show them how we operate so that they can learn and benefit for themselves, right? This is about, again, having an abundance mindset and showing others how to do things and do more business together. So any other questions? A lot of good questions. No?
Do we want to maybe just have everybody on our team, can you just quickly raise your hand? So, awesome. We got a couple in the back there. Please meet, mingle. We'd love to just make conversation and, see if you guys have any questions. These are the guys out there doing it every single day, meeting with homeowners, having those quality conversations on the phone. So if you want to hear anything about what their day in the life is like, what they're hearing, what the seller's sentiment is, great resources for you.
Yes.
Did you sell the Packers house?
I think we are tonight, but it crushes me because I'm a diehard Packers fan. So, yeah, that one hurts a little bit. What?
Why'd you pass?
Just too much other stuff going on. Yeah. We have, with that many contracts, you can't buy them all and flip them all. So, I don't know. Would make a cool Airbnb, though, like a theme. Trust me, it's tempting. It's tempting. Yes. Yeah. So the question is Bitcoin and real estate. All cryptocurrency, yeah, and real estate. I'll be honest, I think that's a lot of shiny object syndrome, and I just stay away from crypto altogether. Like, part of being an entrepreneur is focus. And of course, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is the future. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of like wealth generation now, give me the sure thing. I'm not in the get rich quick stuff. Ironically, the seller that sold us that biggest deal ever, he lost 500 grand in a cryptocurrency scam. So that was part of the reason why he had to sell. Horrible. This is a guy was in his 80s. He built these for his kids to operate as Airbnbs. I mean, crushing stuff. So, not that that's relevant to your question, but I'm not a crypto fanatic, and I think it's very early and not reliable. So, better ways to make money.
That's all I got.
All right. Thank you all. Again, if you know somebody, thank you. If you know somebody that wants to join our team or has any interest, we'll pay you a referral bonus. We have a referral bonus too. So talk to Tori. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.